You know, as we were just saying, Ted Cruz continues to rack up these delegates at state conventions. And if Donald Trump does fall short of that 1237 magic number, the security nomination, it could go to a contested convention. So let's bring in David McIntosh, a former Indiana congressman, Ryan Girdusky, and Ashley Pratte and Tammy Bruce. You know, earlier this morning, I was filling in for Stewart, David, and I spoke with Jeff DeWitt. I was hoping we had the sound because he said something I thought was amazing. He said the first round of voting in Arizona, it was tight. The second round of voting, Cruz wiped them out. And I think that's the thinking if it goes to a contested convention.
I do too. It happens all the time in these conventions. The front runner stalls, and then the person coming up from behind gets a lot of momentum.
Now, that's your dream. Now, let's face it. Let's be.
But
we got to remind the audience, you're with the Club of Growth. You guys have spent a lot of money trying to stop Donald Trump. How much have you spent in the
We're spending 7 figures there, probably about $1.5 million.
Okay.
But no, I'm sharing with you at other conventions. That's typically how you work it. If you're in the second place, you try to get momentum when the person in the lead stalls out.
Actually, you know, again, it's on one hand, you know, we have Donald Trump, art of the deal, and he's done a lot of things. People criticize him for eminent domain and those kind of things, and his fans support him and applaud him, as a matter of fact. Ted Cruz is playing art of the deal politics style on the back end. He gets criticized for it. In fact, I think he's paying a heavy price for it. People should know, Gallup poll, Cruz's image amongst Republicans was at 61% popularity. It's down to 39%. He is paying a heavy price for winning these things.
He is, and I think that's because Donald Trump has spun the narrative of this system is rigged, and Donald Trump has made himself the victim of the GOP establishment of this system that Ted Cruz has, you know, never been a favorite of by any means, but he has played a ground game, and this is where ground game has been so important in 2016, and we have really seen it take a back seat. But when it comes down to the delegates, Cruz has really outperformed. But as Donald Trump continues momentum with large sweeps like he did in the Acela primary last week, what's going to end up happening is I think we're going to see some of these delegates that are unbound shift. But again, if it goes to a contested convention, it depends who can wrangle and has the art of the deal, so to speak, on the convention floor.
We're hearing that feet of clay kind of narrative start to creep in here just a little bit. Some of these delegates who are going with Cruz may be under some serious pressure, certainly between now and July.
Yeah, and look, this is the whole dynamic, and we all are going to be seeing who is really looking to be the winner, who is going to be the one to bring us all together. I think when you make a commitment to someone who is in second place, there's an anticipation that there's going to be some kind of unsure, wobbly kind of positioning when you get to the convention. If that's not the case, people will then move. This is what happened with Barack Obama in 2008. Right. People began to move. So no matter what Ted Cruz does, and what he's highlighted here is the private club aspect of those rules that he's taken advantage of. Donald Trump has been speaking directly outside of that to the voters, and that's what we seem to be preferring. And this is also where the delegates are going to have to respond, is the nature of this argument and what the leader at this point
so far, every weekend, the delegates ignore the criticism, and so far, almost every state where Donald Trump has done well, he has lost this delegate race. We don't have a lot of time, but what's your thought on that, Ron?
I think last 6 states, Cruz does not want a single solitary county in the last 6 states. If he comes out of California, Trump, over 100 delegates, it's not going to go to a second ballot. It doesn't matter. Trump's speaking to the voters, Cruz speaking to the delegates, and it doesn't go to a second ballot. Cruz is all this momentum for Cruz.
David, I don't know. This whole thing's got the Game of Thrones atmosphere to it, right? They got to kill everybody, and maybe someone can resurrect a few people.
Look, what it really shows is that Cruz will be the better guy in the fall because he knows how to run a campaign. Trump knows how to run a branding session, and he still hasn't gotten half of the Republicans
But he's got 10 million votes and 3 million more than Ted Cruz.
But 12 million have voted against him.
And Ted Cruz's approach in the general will be predictable. Mr. Trump's will not be.
Although unpredictability might be a good thing this time around. All right, guys.